Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on the newly launched EEP program. I'm the EEP Programs Administrator, Rebecca David, and on behalf of IIBA, thank you very much for joining us. Today we have Suzanne Birchie, Head of Certification and Recognition, here to guide us through what we need to know about the new EEP program. This will be followed by a Q&A session where you can pose your questions to Suzanne or myself via the question box. And with that, I will turn the webinar over to you, Suzanne.
Thank you, Rebecca, and welcome to everyone who's joining our webinar on the new Revitalized EEP program. My name is Suzanne Birchie, and I'm the Head of Certification and Programs, which includes oversight over the Endorsed Education Program, the Certification Program, as well as the Academic Recognition Program. And we've had a very busy year this year, and we're really pleased to be able to introduce you to the launch of the new EEP program. So with that in mind, the agenda that I'm going to follow today is on the screen for you to see. We're going to discuss the key principles that guided us through the development of the new framework and program. We're going to go over the pain points that we've received feedback on from our EEP community. I'm going to cover what we did to engage our EEP stakeholders in the Revitalized program. Then obviously I'm going to get into the details of what the new EEP program looks like, some future opportunities that we have already in play to involve the EEPs that are part of our program, what our next steps are, and then there'll be lots of time to address your questions. So when we initially started the Revitalized EEP program, we wanted to ensure that we were all on the same page in terms of the principles that would guide us through developing this new framework. And we had three key principles that we wanted to ensure we followed. The first was that we develop a flexible framework that would not only support differences in our EEP organizations, but also differences in their levels of engagement with IIBA, and also enable our EEPs to have growth opportunities within the program itself. We wanted to also ensure, obviously, that we provided support for our BA professionals in their development that not only looked at their entry into the program or their preparation for our certification exams, but considered their entire BA career progression from entry into the profession as well as all the way through to retirement. We also wanted to ensure that the professional development that is endorsed through our program aligns now with all areas within the BA BOK guide. So rather than just focus perhaps on our knowledge areas, that we also consider aligning the professional development and having professional development that is endorsed that also looks at the underlying competencies, techniques, as well as supports other BA streams like our perspectives. And of course, we want to ensure that that professional development, especially around the prep courses for certification, map to the IIBA competency-based approach for certification that we launched with the new certification program back in September of last year. And finally, we want to ensure that we're supporting BA practices in organizations at differing maturity levels. So not just looking at one size fits all within an organization, but really looking at and considering that organizations have different maturing BA practices. And then our last guideline, which is key, is we want to ensure that we engage our EEPs in every step of the way in revitalizing the new program and also after the program is launched. And we did do that throughout this Revitalized initiative, and I'll be talking to that in the next few slides. Prior to even beginning the Revitalized program, we had various feedback that we had received through different sources. We had feedback from our EEPs through our EEP inbox, our EEP phone line, as well as last year at our BBC conference, we held an in-person focus group with EEPs in attendance to find out from them how they feel about the program and what they'd like to see improved in our program. So we've had lots of feedback over the years, and we've been able to identify some key trends in that feedback. The first one was around the BA BOK Guide purchase requirement that was part of the EEP agreement that our EEPs had to sign when joining our program and when renewing in our program. We have since removed that requirement. We did that pretty much a month after BBC. So I believe the EEP community is pleased to see that requirement removed. You can still purchase the BA bulk guide for your students if you wish, but it's a decision that is within at the discretion of our EEPs. The second pain point was around our pricing model and the structure of it in terms of the fees being separate and not bundled together, therefore making it a little bit more complex, more piecemeal, and more difficult to do business with IIBA. Another key pain point was the lack of communication and engagement of IIBA with our EEP community. Another pain point was around competency development and truly understanding how EEPs benefit from or how they can develop their courseware to be in line with our competency-based approach to certification. Another pain point was around our quality control, our assessment process, as well as our audit process, ensuring that all EEPs are held to the same standard, the courses are held to the same standard, that we ensure that non-EEPs are looked at if they're violating our trademarks or using our content or advertising themselves as qualifying for PD hours when they're not part of the program. So just ensuring that we have a better process in place around quality control. And then finally, a major pain point was around EEP promotion, really helping EEPs to raise your awareness and raise the awareness of your products and services that are endorsed with IIBA. So having IIBA do a better job of that. Now I'm going to explain the stakeholder engagement process that we went through when recruiting EEPs to help us to shape the new program. The first thing that we did was to send an e-blast out to all of our EEPs to invite EEPs to join what we call our EEP advisory group. This is a group that not only did we want to engage with throughout the Revitalized initiative and for launch of the new program, but also post-launch on an ongoing basis to ensure that we are truly engaged with our EEPs on an ongoing basis, getting your input, your feedback, having you help shape changes to the program, continuously improve the program, and also to engage you in other work that IIBA is involved with within our other portfolio. So not just meeting to talk about the EEP program itself. So when we structured this group, we wanted to ensure that we had a mix of organizational size, that we definitely had global representation. We wanted the group to be a good size that we could deliver and facilitate easily to get work done and make changes to the program in a timely manner. We decided that we wanted to enable all EEPs equal opportunity to join the group, so membership in this group will rotate yearly. The individuals are committed for the length of the initiative minimally and ongoing post-launch as well, we're hoping. The commitment and the structure in terms of how often we're going to meet post-launch, that's something that the group has to decide still, so that's something on our agenda for our next meeting. But basically, what happened over the last few months is that we had several workshop meetings with our advisory group to review our straw model of the new framework. There were many meetings that were held to get through the whole model and to get through all the feedback and input that our advisory group had. As a result of all the feedback and input, we changed the model significantly. Then we held progress meetings with our advisory group, and these progress meetings were held on a biweekly or monthly basis, depending on availability of the group. And it really was to keep our advisory group in the know around feedback that we were getting from our focus groups that I'm going to speak to next, and any feedback or revisions we made to the model as a result of their feedback, just to ensure that along the way, the advisory group is still being kept in the know of what's going on with the new program, with our launch, and with feedback that we're receiving from other EEPs not within the advisory group. And then, as I mentioned, launch is happening this week of the new program. And so as a group, as an advisory group, we still need to determine how often we want to meet to make sure that we're constantly engaging with our EEPs and our representatives of the EEPs. The criteria that we use to select our advisory group participants apply to all EEPs that we sent the communication out to. We wanted to ensure, obviously, that our representatives were part of an EEP that was in good standing, that our reps were familiar with the current IBA certification program, and obviously very familiar with the business analysis profession, that our contact was in a position within their organization to be able to speak to the needs for professional development, certification, and recognition within the BA space, not only in general, but really specifically within their geographic area. We wanted to ensure that that contact operated within their organization at a somewhat strategic level, that they would be able to provide input and receive input on the direction of their organization's goals and objectives for their BA professional development, that they were actively involved within their local BA community. So for example, within their local IIBA chapter, that they would be an advocate for the new program, committed for the length of the initiative, and we did prefer that they were an EEP for a minimum of 1 year, and it was nice if they had their CBAP or CCBA designation, but not mandatory. The next group that we involved in engaging and communicating with in terms of the Revitalized EEP program prior to launch was our EEP focus groups. So once we had the input and feedback from the EEP advisory group on the new framework, you know, as I mentioned, we did have to change the straw model quite a bit based on the feedback to come up with our proposed framework. We were in a position then to present this proposed framework to the larger EEP community. So we sent a communication out to invite all our EEPs to participate in a 1-hour virtual meeting to review with us our proposed new framework and provide input and feedback and ask clarification questions. So we held 3 different meetings to ensure that we hit as many EEPs in different time zones as we could. We got a lot of good input and a lot of feedback, and that was used to tweak the EEP framework even more. And for this group, we invited and extended the invitation to participate to all our EEPs. So as long as the EEPs were in good standing, that was really the key criteria. We did ensure that we had global representation as well at our focus group meetings, and the participation was really just for the initiative, so for the 3 meetings. So before I get into presenting to you the new framework, I really wanted to just quickly go over some of the feedback that we did receive from our advisory group, as well as from the focus groups around the straw model when we first presented it to the advisory group, as well as the proposed model, so that you see the key findings that we received that helped to shape the proposed or the new model that you're going to see in the next few slides. So it was pretty apparent from the EEPs that they really do support the competency development approach and aligning our professional development that is endorsed with all areas covered within the BA-BOK guide. They suggested that the pricing model be low enough to enable smaller training providers to join the program. When you see the new approach or the new framework, you're going to see that it is a leveled program versus the 1 level that we currently have for the EEP program. All EEPs agreed with the leveled approach and bundling of fees rather than a pay-per-class model that we had. The feedback was unanimous in that the endorsement process of professional development needs to be easier and more cost competitive, not necessarily more rigorous. That endorsed professional development needed to be further differentiated from non-endorsed professional development. The key feedback that I mentioned prior that was in our pain points was that regular ongoing communication and engagement with our EEPs is crucial. One of the benefits that you'll see in the next couple slides is an online student rating tool that we're looking to implement on our website. There was an astounding appreciation for that tool to ensure that we have quality professional development that is endorsed. EEPs preferred the terms endorsed. It's a term that we've used with the program since its inception. And so the term endorsed is preferred versus changing it and making our process for endorsement less rigorous. And everyone talked about the need to really continue to increase building the awareness of IIBA as a whole, all our brand and all of our programs and products. And that we really need to leverage our EEPs more to do this and to provide our EEPs with that marketing collateral to be able to support them in this. And one of the other benefits that you'll see in the new framework is a new giving back benefit that we have established. And our EEPs, the feedback that we received throughout this process was really positive around that new benefit. Now I'm going to get into the new framework and the new program. But before I do, I want to talk about the SWOT matrix, the strengths, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities that we discussed and received feedback on from our EEPs that were involved, not only in the advisory group meetings, but also at the focus group meetings. I won't go through each bullet point because they're pretty straightforward. I'll just highlight some of the key ones within each category. So our strengths are that we are lucky as an organization to have such active EEPs, active within the program and within their communities. So we really need to leverage that. We're also very blessed that we have the BA-BOK Guide, the global standard in business analysis practices. And so having our professional development that is endorsed, that is aligned to this, is a huge strength for our global BA community. Our weaknesses are that we do have a lower number of providers participating within the program than really we feel we should at this point. So we need to do something about that. And we also have a lower number of products and services that are endorsed, and they seem to be limited to the certification exam prep courses and intro to BA courses. So we really need to look at that, and we really wanted to shape the new program such that it encouraged that professional development of our BA community throughout their career progression. So at entry, like I mentioned, but all the way through to retirement. And some of the weaknesses that were expressed to us from our EEPs, loud and clear, was really not extending the benefit of our partnerships to the community and to our EEPs, and not leveraging our EEPs within their local communities for things like our corporate membership program. And then finally, a weakness that also came out loud and strong was just our slow progress and responsiveness to updating our products to the new BA-BOK Guide version 3, which isn't new anymore, and then our low agility. So all of these things, not only do they impact some of them the EEP program, but they also impact other areas of IIBA as a program, as an organization, and our other programs. So that feedback has been passed on by myself and my team to our other areas so that we can really learn from the feedback and improve IIBA and all our programs accordingly. When it comes to opportunities and threats, the feedback that we received around our opportunities is there are a lot of opportunities for the EEP program in the near future with this new framework, but as well as in the near future. And I will talk to some in detail within the next few slides. But really our opportunities are the one that came out loud and clear for me and for our team is leveraging our EEPs further within the communities to help IIBA with our corporate engagement, our partnerships with chapters, all to broaden and increase reach and to support our BA community. And then some key threats were our competitor programs. The current EEP program had an unclear value proposition for our EEPs, and that we are starting to get, or the number is growing, of disengaged CBAP. So we need to do something about that within the program, but also, again, as a whole, as an organization, and within our other portfolios and programs. I wanted to express as well, before we get into the new framework, which is the next slide, so it is coming soon, that really when we looked at revitalizing the EEP program, we didn't look just at one or two areas. We really looked at the entire program in order to ensure that we are addressing every area and making changes that are needed based on feedback in every area. So on this slide, you see the current program and then the proposed new. So we really wanted to ensure that we looked at our products and services, for instance, that our current program may have had courses and programs endorsed that were aligned to the KAs in the BA BOK guide. We really want to ensure the new program supports and encourages alignment of professional development that aligns to all areas of the BOK. That we include a suite of products and services in our new framework, and that obviously the suite of products and services must be valued by the BA professionals and corporates. Our pricing model was looked at, the one-time fee to join and to pay per course and then to renew. We received feedback around that it was disjointed, not easy to work within. So the proposed will have a new pricing model attached to it. For our assessment process, we reviewed that as well. It's not changing a lot in terms of having our assessors review the product outlines and ensuring 75% alignment. However, because we are encouraging all areas of the BOK that we consider professional development and endorsing professional development that's aligned with all areas, or any area within the BOK, not just focused on the knowledge areas, that's a change that we hope to see more endorsed products that cover other areas, the BA streams or perspectives, etc. And that the product will be endorsed versus just courses. Other than that, our audit process, again, we looked at that, and so putting a more formal audit process in place to ensure that our current EEPs are aware of the trademark policy, the agreement in terms of the content that can be used from the BOK, but more importantly, really that we're looking at non-EEPs, training providers that haven't joined the program yet that may be fraudulently or unknowingly using our trademarks or content, and ensuring that they're aware of our program and that they are stopped from violating our trademarks. Program growth, we really want to look at the new program and having our EEPs help us in growing the program. More of a formal marketing and communication campaign will be in place post-launch, so this week and ongoing, to really look at training providers that haven't considered our program yet and understanding why and what we can do to help them join. We want to look at incentivizing our current EEPs that do work within their communities on behalf of IBA to solicit corporate memberships or that sponsor chapters, because we understand that it's going above and beyond what you provide in terms of professional development for your BAs. And then we also wanted to look at, again, ensuring that we have different levels available to EEPs and ensuring that we take in consideration their engagement interest with IIBA. So rather than just having a one-size-fits-all or one-level program as we do today, looking at some kind of multi-level program that meets the needs of different EEPs. So with that, having said that, I'm pleased to show you the new framework of the EEP program. This new framework is in effect starting today for new EEPs that join. I will talk to you in more detail in a few slides around how this impacts our current EEPs. And on this slide, what you see is it's a two-level program. The two levels are Select and Premier. And I also have our current program as the far right column, just to show you the difference and how the program has changed, provide that visual to show you the differences. So the first row really looks at what are the value props of the new program and how does it compare to the current program. So the next slide is going to go into more detail around the benefits that are offered at each level to our EEPs that are within the program. But at a high level, the value props really look at the Select level as being one that does provide endorsement of learning events, so courses and or conference dates, as well as webinars, but it's limited. So for courses and conference dates, we're looking at a maximum of 3 learning events. For webinars, it's the same as today, and they're unlimited at the Select level as well as at the Premier level. The value prop that you also get with both are affiliation branding, license to our IP, specifically the BA BOK Guide content, And we've got this new benefit that I'll discuss in more detail on the next slide, the online student rating system. We also want to ensure that at both levels, we have more ongoing regular engagement and communication with our EEPs. We're committed to that, and we've already started that with the initiative to come up with a new program. We want to ensure that we raise our EEP's profile, the profile of your products and services. So doing more to do that is a commitment on our part as well. And then the premier level branches off where it has unlimited endorsement for a higher fee. It also includes the opportunity for EEPs at that level to be provided with giving back incentives, which I'll discuss more on the next slide, preview to our IP, and corporate engagement. So there is a difference in the benefits that you receive at the premier level, and obviously the fees are slightly higher as well. And what we've done with the fees, so the pricing model, is that we've bundled the course fees or the learning event fees within the yearly fee. So there's one initial fee for new EEPs, that's your 1 yearly fee, and then there's the renewal fee. And there are no extra fees required. If you're in the select level and you want to go beyond offering 3 courses, you can pay an extra $150 per learning event above the 3. And eventually, though, if you keep doing that, you're going to get to the premier level. So at some point, it doesn't make sense. It just makes sense to go to the premier level. There are many more benefits at that level, and I'm going to flip to that slide where we get into that detail. So here are the benefits in more detail per level. And again, I'm showing you the far right column, the current program, and how the benefits are have grown and are more involved and are differentiated between our select and premier level. So the first few benefits are similar to today's. You've got access to the EEP LinkedIn group. All endorsed professional development or learning events will be pre-approved for PD hours or CDUs for certification and or recertification. You will have, both levels will have license to use the BA Bach Guide content. You'll be provided with our new logos and branding. You will have access to the certification competency guide and the learning objectives for each level of certification. And we have increased, though, the number of complimentary individual memberships for our EEPs to provide to their staff. At the premier level, you now get 4 complimentary memberships, and those memberships come with all the benefits of individual membership. We are also looking at enabling our EEPs to offer those memberships to students in the case where maybe they don't have enough staff or instructors, if they're a smaller EEP, for instance, and would like to use that complimentary membership to raffle it off to students, for instance. So we're looking at the potential of doing that in the future. We also looked at improving our promotion of our EEPs and their products on our EEP webpage. So we've got an improved search. We have the alphabetized listing, but both are improved. The web pages as well will be improved to be more clear, make it more clear for students that go onto the website to be able to know where to go for training opportunities, and the search is much more visible and upfront. And for EEPs, it'll be much more clear where to go to manage your account, to find out where the information is that pertains to your level that you're part of and to get access to the benefits. And also, it'll be more clear for new training providers that want to join the program, how to find out about the program and what the steps are they need to do to join the program. Here's where we branch off, though, much more from our current program. The online student rating system is similar to a rating system for hotels or restaurants. So we will have a tool on our website that will enable your students to go in and rate the endorsed courses. And we will be validating and monitoring that feedback to ensure that the feedback is valid, that they are students that have taken the courses. There will be opportunities for the EEP to remedy the situation if there's feedback that's not positive. We are looking at tools now, and so we will have our EEP advisory group very involved in helping to define the process and to ensure that we're meeting the needs of our EEPs, as well as students that want an opportunity to be able to provide feedback on the courses they're taking. And we feel that this, combined with the assessment process, will really help to ensure that the endorsed courses that are out there that are being advertised are quality courses. We're also going to be engaging you with our chapters. We know that a lot of our current EEPs, if not most, are already involved with their local chapters, which is great. When new EEPs come on board, though, it's not always that way. So we want to ensure that we're facilitating an introduction to our other partner programs so that we're all working together to serve our local BA community. At the premier level, we're going to break off here, and this is where we get into more specifics around the benefits of that level. We're going to be providing an online calendar on our website of all premier level endorsed exam prep courses. So for the Q4, for instance, we'll have your courses on a calendar that your students or that individuals, BAs interested in training and interested in our certification and in taking a prep course, they'll be able to go on our site and easily find for the next quarter what courses are coming up so that they can go to your site and register for them. We want to provide you with more summary information, more statistics on how your students are doing when they take the certification exams. So obviously we have to maintain privacy, but we're going to be providing more information around certification, how individuals are doing, where they're needing, it seems, more help for those that don't pass the exam right away. And then eventually we want to get into maybe fine-tuning that information so that it's more specific to your students. Again, ensuring that we're not disclosing any private information or making it obvious who the students are. The giving back incentive is another benefit that is at the premier level. This incentive is for EEPs that are really involved within the community and really involved in, helping IBA do business. So for those EEPs that through the work that they're doing to offer professional development are working with organizations and end up helping to onboard a corporate member for IBA or that sponsor an IBA chapter, we consider giving that back to IBA and giving back to the community. So we'll be giving you a 10% discount off of your renewal fee when you're able to secure that membership or are instrumental in securing that membership, as well as in sponsoring a chapter. We will also be facilitating corporate member engagement with our EEPs. So where we have corporate members in your local community, we will be ensuring that those corporate members are aware of your presence, your existence, and this is for ongoing or current EEPs, as well as new training providers that join the EEP program. At the premier level, you'll also be able to have a preview of our IIBA global standards prior to them being launched publicly. We are going to provide you with customizable marketing materials so that when you are working with corporate members and chapters, you have information, collateral that you can use, that you can also update with your own logos on it. And so they will be to market and promote IIBA and our products and services. You'll be able to respond to any RFPs for training that our corporate members have submitted to IIBA, and we'll also be offering a 20% discount on advertising space on the IIBA website. So as you can see from this slide, there are many differences between, within the framework compared to the current or as of yesterday, the old framework, and that you can also see the difference in the benefits between the two levels of our new framework. Some future EEP opportunities that will be embedded within the framework as time goes on. So we'll always be looking at increasing the benefits, expanding on them for both levels. But some future EEP opportunities that we're already aware of and that we'll be looking to see how that fits within the program is the ECBA. And what I mean by that is we want to provide even more support to those entering the BA profession beyond just being certified with the ECBA. And that is really getting them ready and transitioning them to a real job. So how do we do that? And we believe there are professional development opportunities there that DEPs can be engaged in. Micro-credentials is another one that we're looking at to ensure that we're helping BAs close their skills gap when they're working along their career path and they're trying to achieve certification. How do they get there from one level to the next? How do we help them close those gaps? How do we help them? How do we help those that want to support or be involved in or be recognized in a specific BA stream like Agile Business Analysis? So we feel again that there are lots of opportunities there for professional development and therefore for our EEPs to be involved in that. And then finally, with our MOUs, our alliances and collaborations, we feel that they will create professional development program needs for sure. So again, all of these may not be reflected today in the new framework that I presented and the benefits, but they are future opportunities where as we finalize and structure some of these deliverables, we'll be able to better explain or communicate how our EEPs can be involved. Our next steps in terms of launching this new program, well, it's launching this week, and today is the second and last webinar to our EEPs to introduce you to the new framework. We will be sending an email communication out to all our current EEPs to officially announce the launch within the next week and to ensure that you know where all the information is on our website. We will be mapping our current EEPs to the new program. And what I mean by that is we'll be looking at the number of endorsed courses really that you have right now and conference dates and seeing where currently, based on your current engagement with IBA, where you fit within the two levels. And then we'll be reaching out to each one of you via email to let you know where we've mapped you. And that will be done by end of August. So expect to receive an email from our team by end of August. The new program and fees for current EEPs, they only apply at renewal. And so what we're looking for is starting with renewals that are happening at the end of September. So if you're up for renewal at end of September and up for payment of your fee, that's when you would be required to pay the renewal fee for the level that you map to. However, you do have the option to move up or down the level as you see fit at that time. And until you actually pay your renewal fees, we're going to let you know where we think you map to, and the benefits at that level will apply to you, even though you're not up for renewal yet and you haven't paid the renewal fee. Now, for new EEPs, new training providers that join the EEP program, the program and the fees, so the new framework, the mapping to a level, the fees, that all applies beginning August 1st. So that already started. And so for them, they're right away will be, asked to select the level they want to belong to and pay the fee that goes along with that level. And now we're at the end of the presentation. I know I've bombarded you with a lot of information, but as I mentioned, we do have lots of time now for questions. For any questions that don't get answered or addressed during the webinar, or if you think after the webinar of something that you wish you had asked, please feel free to email eep@iiba.org, and we will return your email with an answer. So now over to you, Rebecca, to facilitate our questions.
Great, thanks, Suzanne. And we do have a lot of great questions from our EEPs, and I'm going to start with this one. Looking at the 3-course limit for the online courses at the select level, what do you mean by this? Are you referring to 3 online courses offered by the EEP or 3 online courses advertised by the EEP?
So what we mean at the select level, you can have up to 3 learning events. So that can be a combination of courses or conference dates that are endorsed. But at that level, we're only allowing you to have up to 3 online courses. So courses can be offered obviously via classroom, online, blended. So we're only looking at you having up to 3 online courses. So if you have 2 courses that are classroom and 1 that's online, that's fine. If you want to pay an additional fee for another course that's online, that would be fine at the select level, because you're still then only at 2 online courses. The minute you hit 3 online courses, we need you to move to the premier level. Does that answer the question?
Yep, thanks so much, Suzanne. And could you please distinguish course and product? I know you had mentioned both terms, and just some clarification on that would be wonderful.
Right. So we basically see a course as a type of product. So what we're trying to call them now, and I probably didn't use the wording consistently throughout, are learning events. So our products are learning events, and a course, a conference, state, a webinar, they're all learning events. Each of them are a learning event. Okay, great. Thanks, Suzanne.
Is the course add-on fee due annually? Actually, I can answer this question, Suzanne. So with the course add-on fee, it's $150, and this is not just for a course, it can be for a conference, but this is a one-time fee, and it's only applicable at the select level. So there are no add-on fees for courses or conference at the premier level, but at select, it is a one-time fee. Another question we have, Suzanne, will each EEP have a contact person at IIBA for questions and issues?
Yes, so the contact person right now is Rebecca, or you email our EEP inbox or call the main EEP phone line, which is preferred, so that, you know, if someone is off or Rebecca is off for some reason, you know, there's always someone monitoring those two and ensuring then that someone will get back to you. But right now, everyone does have, I guess, for lack of a better term, account manager, and that is you, Rebecca David.
Yes, that is myself. Thanks, Suzanne. Regarding the online rating system, what is the expected time frame for that launch, for that to be ready for both levels?
Right. So what we need to do is we're in the process of looking at options for that tool. So we will definitely communicate more on the timeline for launching it. We will have our EEP advisory group involved heavily in providing input and feedback in the tool and into the process in terms of moderating and facilitating and validating the information. So how we want that to look, what parameters need to be in place. So I don't have a timeline today, but it's something we are looking into right now. So once I have a little bit more finalized details around the timeline, we will be communicating it.
Great, thanks, Suzanne. And just a little bit more clarification is needed for the course endorsement. So if an EEP has one course but offers it 3 times a year, is that considered one course or 3?
It doesn't matter how often you offer it, it's just considered one endorsed course. So one learning event of your 3 if you're at the select level.
Great, thanks, Suzanne. Another question we have is about the initial fees. So will current EEPs need to pay the initial fee for the premier level? I can actually answer this one, Suzanne. So for current EEPs, the only fee that will be due is the renewal fee at your regular renewal date. So you're not required to pay the initial fee. And did you want to add to that, Suzanne? I think that one was just renewal fee for our current EEPs, right?
Right. No, yeah, you answered it correctly. Thanks.
Great. And for the premier level, does it include updates to existing courses as well? So when we're mapping them, are you looking at existing courses on top of new courses that would be added? And I believe...
Yeah. So your fee that you're paying for includes the existing courses that you already have endorsed. They would continue to be endorsed.
Great. Thanks, Suzanne. And just to confirm, if an EEP at the premier level has a number of courses not yet endorsed, these will be endorsed at no additional cost. So there's no specific fee for course endorsement, correct?
That's correct. At the select level, though, you have the max of 3. So if you go beyond that, you have to pay that additional fee.
Awesome. Thanks, Suzanne. In terms of the benefit you had mentioned for certification stats, when does that become available for the premier level?
So we'll be looking at providing stats around the areas of improvement that are needed for those that have taken the exam. I think within the next couple months, we'll start providing that, and then we'll fine tune that report as we get better data and more information from our EEPs to help us with gathering that data while still maintaining the privacy of the students. So I would say within the next couple months, if not sooner, you will start to get information at the premier level.
Awesome. Thanks for clarifying that, Suzanne. And in terms of the courses for certification, are there any plans in the future to allow EEPs to offer self-learning courses per certification level?
So I'm just making sure I understand the question correctly. So rather than a classroom type course or an online e-learning course, you're saying where the individual, like self-learning, I look at an individual learning on their own. So I'm not sure that we're there. I know we're not there for our CCBA and CBAP because they are professional certifications, but CCBA, that is allowed since it's a certificate and it's knowledge-based. So self-directed learning is permitted for the 21 hours for ECBA.
Awesome. Thanks, Suzanne. In terms of courses that have been submitted and they're in the process of endorsement, fees are paid, but the endorsement process is not complete, what happens to these courses?
So this is when, this is when a course is in the process of being looked at, reviewed by our assessors, has not been officially endorsed yet?
Yes, and the fees are paid for the course.
Right. So, you know, they would be endorsed and then they would, you know, we would go on business as usual. I guess if they're not endorsed, the process is, Rebecca, you can confirm this for me because you're heavily involved in the assessment piece, but individuals would be contacted to get the necessary information in order to have their courses endorsed, right? So we work very closely with the EEPs to ensure as much as possible we're able to endorse your courses.
Exactly. Thanks, Suzanne. Yeah, just to add to that, as of August 1st, we are referring to the new EEP program. So anything submitted prior to that, if you paid the fees, it would still be, it wouldn't be refunded because it is part of that particular course, but ongoing, if you are at the premier level, you're not required to pay additional fees for the courses that you submit. And so there is a question about CBAP courses. Usually all major certificates require a special trainer certification, but currently even a non-CBAP trainer can teach a CBAP course. Is this being addressed?
So yes, it is being addressed with this framework. We are going to be asking, there will be a grandfathering process though, so we have to put that information together and that criteria together and that process together still. So we're still doing our due diligence around looking at our current EEPs, the prep courses that are currently in place and looking at the instructors. So we'll be probably coming to you to ask information on your instructors, but we will be asking our instructors of exam prep courses to minimally be certified at that level that they're teaching. So if you're teaching an ECBA prep course, you just have to have the ECBA, the ECBA certificate. If you're teaching CCBA, it's CCBA or up. So that's something that we are going to be requiring. Like I mentioned, though, it's not something that's going to we're going to turn the switch on tomorrow. We believe most of our instructors of prep courses are already certified at that level that they're teaching. But for the odd one that isn't, we'll be contacting that EEP, talking to you about it further and providing you with some kind of grandfathering process so it doesn't have to happen overnight.
Great, thanks, Suzanne. Just another question about the CBAP requirements. So the CBAP requirement involves a minimum of 35 hours of professional development. Suppose candidates will take the course from EEP. However, there are gray market providers providing prep courses with a very low cost. How would IIBA address this?
So training providers that are not EEPs and that do not have their course endorsed, even if they are an EEP, should not be advertising using our trademarks or logos, and definitely not be using the BA Buck content to teach their courseware. So we are going to have a more formal process, more regular process in place to track for this. Obviously, we look to our community, as including our EEPs, to let us know if you're aware of a training provider that is doing this, because it's not allowed, it's a violation, and so we do get in touch with that organization to ensure that they stop that as soon as possible. Obviously, we need to know about them. So as I mentioned, we're going to have a more formal process in place to track that, but please let us know. Email eep@iiba.org if you come across such an organization, but they should not be offering our course, referring to our content, and using our logos if they're not part of the EEP program and if that course is not endorsed.
Great, thanks Suzanne, thanks for clarifying that. Going back to the online rating system, what are the parameters on which it's based on?
So for the online rating system, I mean, that is something that, as part of doing our investigation into tools and into implementing that tool on our system and having that process in place for validating the students and the student information, monitoring it, setting parameters, that's all part of what we still have to do in more detail. So I don't have a specific answer yet, but it is something that we'll be looking at as part of implementing this new feature, and that will be, like I said, getting our EEP advisory group involved in providing input and feedback to ensure that we're representing our EEPs in implementing this tool.
Great, thanks Suzanne. In terms of the schedule for the Agile certification, do you have the tentative schedule in place for that launch?
No, we know that we are looking into coming up with something. We don't have anything definite or anything I can share at the moment in terms of a timeline, what it looks like, who's involved, but it is one of the next certifications that our organization is contemplating. So once we have more information that I can share, then we will definitely share it.
Great, thanks Suzanne. In terms of the fees that you had mentioned per level, how did IIBA decide on these new fees?
So the fees, we looked at our current fees. We looked at our competitors' fees, so other organizations similar to ours that offer similar training provider programs. And we looked at organizations on a global scale. And we also looked at the way we structured the program and the benefits that we're offering for each level. And all that information was used to come up with the fees that you saw on that one slide and that are on our website today. And really, we believe that they are competitive with our with other organizations similar to ours.
Great, thanks. Just to add to that though, is there a further discount or special pricing for EEPs in certain regions at this time?
No, at this time, we know that we do have the regional pricing for membership, individual membership. This is something that we're looking at as an organization. We're considering for all our products. So even for certification, we don't do that today. So right now, the pricing that you see is the pricing that affects or that is offered to all regions. But as an organization, we are looking at our pricing model, and in particular around regional pricing. So once we have more information on that, and if we decide to go that route for other products or programs like the EEP program, we will definitely be communicating that.
Wonderful, thanks for sharing that. We do have a question about the renewal fees. What is the time frame to pay the renewal fee? And what happens if I don't pay my renewal fee on time? Actually, Suzanne, I can answer this one. So EEP renewal email reminders are sent out 60 and 30 days prior to the renewal due date. We do also send out renewal reminders 30 days and 60 days past due. So we've given a grace period of 60 days past due to make that payment with no late fees. However, after 60 days past due, there is a $250 late fee that would be due along with the regular renewal fee. After 90 days, though, your EEP status will be revoked and you'll need to reapply to the program. So I highly recommend ensuring your contacts on your EEP account are always up to date so that the appropriate person receives these renewal reminders. So yeah, if there's any other questions about that, please let us know, and you can definitely send us an email as well. Suzanne, if you can just give us a little bit more detail or help us understand as well the mapping process for our current EEPs. I know you had touched on that, but if you can just kind of give them a time frame as well as a little bit more details per level.
Okay, sure thing. So for the mapping of our current EEPs to the select and premier levels, really what we're looking at is where you're at today in terms of how many courses and or conferences that you have endorsed with us. So that's pretty much it. And then between now and end of August, you'll receive an email from us that'll let you know, based on your current standing with us, where you're at, where we think you map to. And that just is, you know, enabling you to know upfront where you map to and have you consider, you know, when it comes time to paying your renewal fee and having to pay the new level renewal fee, which level you truly want to be in. And then also, you know, enables us to communicate with you on your specific situation and talk to you more about it. But by end of August, everyone should have received an email from us stating, well, here's where you map to, you're at Select or you're at Premier, this is what it means, do you want to talk about it? Let's, you know, if you want to have a phone discussion about it, have any questions, you know, it opens the doors for that. And then it'll like remind you of your renewal date as well and when the new fees will be due for your specific organization.
Great, thanks, Suzanne. We do have another question surrounding the complimentary memberships that each level has. Can we offer these IIBA memberships to staff who are contractors but are not full-time employees?
That's a good question, really good question. So I will have to consider that before I answer it. So let us consider it, and we'll get back to the person that asked it. In addition, we'll have more information on that on our website and in the handbook that's on the site now, just to clarify that, because that's an excellent question.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Suzanne. These are all the questions we have for today. Just a reminder, this webinar is recorded and will be available on our website as well within 5 business days, so please check our website for that. Suzanne, thank you so much for your presentation, and for all of you who are able to join us today. If anyone has any questions about the new EEP program, please contact us at eep@iiba.org. Again, thank you for joining us today and have a wonderful day.